All right, so you ready to dive into the startup world?
Oh, absolutely. Always fascinating.
We're looking at Lost and Founder this time.
Rand Fishkin, yeah, the Moz guy.
You guys sent in excerpts, and let me tell you, this book is a serious reality check.
Oh, it pulls no punches. He's brutally honest about what it really takes to build a company.
No sugarcoating here. So, Chapter 1, right off the bat, tackles this whole myth of overnight success.
That become the next Google fantasy.
Exactly. We all see those headlines, but Rand, and research by Stephanie Walden, shows that less than 25% of VC-backed companies early on actually make a profit.
It's sobering, isn't it?
Big time. So for anyone listening who's thinking of launching their own thing, are you prepared for that?
Yeah.
It's a long game.
More like a marathon, really.
Speaking of, look at Rand's journey with Moz. 2004, he founded it. And it took until 2017 to hit its stride. That's over a decade.
A lot of ups and downs, pivoting, the whole shebang.
And here's a crazy detail. For 5 years, Rand's salary as CEO was less than your average Seattle software engineer.
Passion project, clearly.
It really highlights this isn't about instant riches.
More about creating something meaningful.
Solving a problem, making an impact, which leads perfectly into Chapter 2, Finding Your Niche.
Ah, yes, the Airbnb and Uber examples he uses.
Spot on. They succeeded not just because of cool ideas, but serious market research.
They found needs nobody was meeting well.
Exactly. Like Airbnb wasn't reinventing the wheel, it was improving on a clunky system.
Think Craigslist rentals, that whole mess.
So for all you listeners, what problem's your startup idea solving?
And have you done the research to back it up?
Because nobody wants a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
And that brings us to the dreaded topic of Chapter 3, venture capital.
The supposed holy grail, right?
Well, it's not always what it's cracked up to be.
He uses the analogy of silent partners, but...
Huh, silent. That's a good one.
Right. VCs have expectations. They want rapid growth, and their main goal is multiplying their investment.
They're not in it for your health.
So you're beholden to their demands. Pressure cookers, much.
Big time. And keep in mind, they're under pressure too.
Oh, wait.
They aim to triple their limited partners' investments. Within 10 years, usually.
Whoa.
Limited partners being the institutions or individuals who invest in the VC fund, by the way.
Okay, so triple in 10 years. That's a lot to ask, especially given the startup failure rate.
Right. The National Venture Capital Association found 30–40% of established startups actually fail.
So, is VC money really right for everyone?
It's a gamble. Loss of control, pressure to grow.
Big decisions to make. But even if you bootstrap or find other funding, there's something Rand emphasizes that's key. Transparency.
Oh, that's a good one. So simple yet.
In the heat of the moment, it's the first thing to go.
Right. You want to hide problems, shield people from bad news.
But it always comes out, right?
Eventually. Rand talks about Moz's email leak policy. They operate as if anything could go public.
So you're always thinking, would I be okay with this on the front page?
Exactly. It forces honesty and accountability.
Imagine being an employee facing layoffs and nobody tells you anything.
That's rough. Transparency builds trust with your team, with your customers.
Shows you respect them enough to be straight up, even when it's tough news.
Essential for any company, especially startups finding their footing.
So realism, niche, venture capital, transparency.
We've covered a lot, and it's just scratching the surface of Lost and Founder.
Really is. This is a deep dive into the human side of startups.
Really digging into what makes a startup actually work.
Yeah, and for me, this part's been really interesting. It's not just about, like, the business plan stuff.
The numbers, the spreadsheets.
It's the people. Rand keeps coming back to that throughout the book.
Oh, absolutely. Startups are human stories, ultimately.
Built by people, for people.
Right, and that human side can be the best part or the hardest.
So true. It's managing those relationships, expectations.
And keeping that company culture healthy. He's got a whole chapter on that, actually.
Yeah, it's not just about, like, free snacks and a ping pong table.
No. Culture is deeper. It's the soul of the company, you could say.
Values, how people work together, all that.
Creating a space where everyone feels, I don't know, respected, supported to do their best.
And that takes effort, right? From the top down.
Oh, for sure. Rand's big on leading by example.
You want transparency. You got to be transparent.
Actions speak louder than words, kind of thing.
Which leads to purpose. He talks about that a lot.
Having a mission, not just making money.
Right. Like, what's the bigger why behind it all.
People work better when they see that bigger picture.
But it's got to be genuine, right?
Can't be some made-up marketing thing.
Everyone's got to believe it, live it.
Otherwise, it's just empty words. And let's be real, startups aren't all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, there's going to be bumps. Setbacks happen.
And that's where resilience comes in. Rand's super honest about his own failures.
He doesn't hide from them.
He kind of owns them, actually.
Sees them as lessons.
Having that growth mindset, right? Not letting failure define you.
And creating a culture where it's okay to fail as long as you learn.
Experimentation is key, even if it means some things don't work out.
That's how you get innovation, I guess.
Right. Got to push boundaries a bit.
Speaking of which, he's big on data.
Data is important for any business, but especially startups.
To see what's working, what's not.
Making informed decisions, not just gut feelings.
So culture, purpose, resilience, data. We've got all these pieces.
And the big question is, how do you actually use all this?
He does get into the practical stuff later on, right?
Oh yeah, he gives some solid advice.
Like what specifically?
Well, setting clear goals. Knowing what you're aiming for, how to measure it.
Those SMART goals, right?
Yeah.
Specific, all that.
Exactly. But it's not just setting them, it's tracking progress, making adjustments as you go.
That's where the data comes back in.
Yep. See what's working, what's not, and adapt. And then there's the team itself.
Finding the right people, that's got to be huge.
Rand talks about hiring for passion, not just skills.
People who believe in your mission fit the culture.
It's more than just a good resume.
And then treating them well once they're there.
That culture and leadership stuff we talked about.
It all comes together.
Attract good people, keep them happy, and they'll do great work. But even with a great team, focus is key.
Easy to get sidetracked, I bet.
Oh yeah, especially early on, you want to do everything.
But spreading yourself too thin.
You end up doing a lot of things poorly instead of one thing well.
So pick your lane, stick to it.
Find your strength and own it. Then there's getting the word out.
Marketing. How do you even start with that?
Rand's got a ton of insights there. He knows his stuff.
So what's the gist?
First, know your audience. Who are you trying to reach?
Makes sense. Can't sell to everyone.
Then you got to have a message that resonates with them.
Explain your value, why they should care.
And then figure out where to reach them.
So many options these days. Social media, ads.
He recommends a mix. Diversify, reach people where they are.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And whatever you do, make it good. Content that's valuable, not just noise.
Something that teaches, entertains, builds trust.
Right. Establish yourself as an expert, someone worth listening to. But it's not just about getting new customers.
It's keeping the ones you have.
Customer retention. That's where sustainable growth comes from.
And that's where good customer service matters.
Rand talks about going above and beyond, solving problems, making people happy.
It's about building relationships, not just transactions.
Happy customers are your best ads. They'll tell their friends, leave good reviews.
So, culture, leadership, marketing, customer care. We've gone through a lot.
Yeah, so much good stuff in this book.
From those overnight success myths to picking your niche, VC chaos, building a tough company culture.
Mm-hmm.
But this last part, for me, it's the core message.
You mean like beyond the tactics and all that?
It's that it's not just about the strategies, it's the people.
Oh, totally. Rand keeps bringing that up.
Startups.
Yeah.
They aren't just code and marketing plans.
Right, they're people.
Founders, employees, customers, investors.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own thing going on.
Hopes, dreams, all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that human side can be the best and the worst part.
It's a lot to handle. Relationships, keeping people happy, disagreements.
And staying true to your values when things get tough.
Rand talks about empathy a lot here.
Which is hard in the startup world, right? Everyone's so driven.
It's easy to step on toes trying to get ahead.
But to build a company that lasts, you gotta have that empathy.
Understanding where everyone's coming from, even if you disagree.
And making it safe for people to try things, mess up, and learn from it.
Because, let's be honest, failure's gonna happen. No way around it.
Rand's super open about his own screw-ups.
He doesn't pretend he's perfect.
Sees it as part of the learning curve.
And he wants other founders to do the same. Embrace the mess-ups.
Have that growth mindset we talked about.
Turn those setbacks into lessons. But this whole people thing, it applies to the founders too, right?
Oh, big time. He's real about how starting a company can burn you out.
It's a grind, not a quick win. Easy to forget to take care of yourself.
He talks about boundaries, self-care, having a support system.
You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
You how to recharge to keep going. It's a good reminder, especially with all the hustle all the time stuff you see.
Finding that balance is key. Pushing hard, but knowing your limits.
Yeah, giving yourself permission to rest. So wrapping up Lost and Founder, a few things really stuck with me.
Hit me with them.
First, startups are hard, not for the casual dabbler.
It takes guts, being able to bounce back from setbacks.
It's not about getting rich quick. It's a long haul, and you gotta love the process.
Second, it's not just about the idea, it's what you do with it.
Execution, right. Best idea in the world won't save you if you don't have the team, the plan.
And the right attitude to see it through.
Turning that vision into something real. Lots of hard work and learning as you go.
And lastly, it's got to be more than just the money.
Building something you're proud of, something that matters.
Finding that purpose, making a positive impact.
That's the good stuff.
Lost and Founder. Honestly, anyone even thinking about starting a company, read this.
It's real talk, a roadmap, and kind of inspiring too.
Reminds you that the journey's as important as the end goal.
So, for anyone out there on that startup roller coaster,
You're not alone. Tons of people have been there, faced the same struggles.
and there's help out there, advice, communities,
Keep learning, keep growing. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
and most importantly, have fun with it.
That's our Lost and Founder deep dive. Hopefully it's been useful. Maybe even got you fired up.
Till next time, keep exploring, keep thinking critically.
And keep diving deep.